Welcome to this episode of the Gunman. In this video I'll be taking you through this Mitsubishi Magna Painted in Misty White Pearl. The color code is WP29. So this is a 3-stage pearl, which basically means you need to apply your ground coat color, which is just a solid color of base coat. You apply your first couple of coats of that, and then after that's on, you put down your pearl coat, just one coat of pearl over the top of that. So the pearl coat is basically mixed with a clear base coat. You're not really getting any coverage through the pearl. You're actually seeing through the pearl into the ground coat colour. So it's quite a big job, this one. We put a quarter panel on it, we've done a rear and front bumper bar on it as well. We're blending into that rear door. So we obviously, panel beaters, put that quarter panel on. They welded it on after cutting the other one off and did a filler repair up the top there where I'm painting at the moment on that pillar. Where the weld joined up, we've then seam sealed all those gaps that you can see, that yellow seam sealer underneath the quarter panel. I've seam sealed inside the quarter jam as well. I'm also painting the petrol flap, or the fuel filler flap, just to make sure the colour looks the same. And so to do this job, front and rear bars I'm doing as well. I ended up mixing up 650 mils of the ground coat colour and 500 mils of the top coat colour, pearl coat colour. I'm using Standox Solvent Base Coat on this job, so I've obviously done all the prep work too. It's a big job to mask this job up. I've actually got a couple of separate videos on this same job. I've done the colour matching, I made a video on that one, and also made a separate video for the masking up because as you can see, it's quite a big job to mask up because I had to do that. The boot lid, the front and the rear doors all separately, and this rear door here, you'll see in a minute, I am actually able to swing that door while I'm painting it. So I can paint the door and the quarter all at the same time.
Able to put the plastic primer on the bumper bar with my clear gun. I've then put the leaning clear in that. Yeah, I've got the ground coat colour in this gun and my top coat colour in the other gun. So being that it's nice and warm here today, I can just keep painting. I actually don't have to stop. I can put my first coat on, by the time I came around back to the start again, it's dry it up. I can just go and put my second coat straight on, straight away, grab the next gun, not have to go out, clean guns out, come back into the boot.
So before I started painting, I wiped every single panel down with a wax and grease removing solvent. I also then used a tack cloth, a sticky rag basically, is what it is, and at the same time as using the air from the spray gun, and blew it all off and ran it over with the tack rag to get rid of any last bits of dust. And after that I then applied my first coat of base coat. So this is my last coat of base coat colour, or the ground coat colour some call it. So you just want to get it on nice and wet just to get it all covered up. As you can see, after the first coat it's basically covered, but there's a couple of little spots that may not be 100% covered, so just want to get your next one on nice and wet. So as you can see, that door, I can swing it open and close. Made sure all of the masking and the plastic is nice and tight. If it's not tight, then once you get the air pressure from the spray gun, it's going to start flapping around and it could end up landing back into the panel. I've seen it happen. I've had it happen to me before. Even down the bottom here, you can see just what's happening now. The plastic's starting to blow back into my face. It's a little bit annoying. So for this job, for base coat and clear coat, I'm using the DeVilbiss GTI Pro with a 1.3mm fluid tip and needle on it. I'm also using the HVLP Air Cap on it. Settings for this gun, I leave the same for base coat and clear coat. I've found there's no need to change the settings. Once you set them up properly, you can just paint anything with it really. For exterior panels and stuff like that, if I was doing a set of wheels or doing some real fiddly stuff, then maybe you'd change the settings up a bit. But for big panels like this, you leave the fan wide open as far as it goes. Leave the fluid setting, open that one pretty much right up, so it's just hanging in by a couple of threads, and set the air pressure to approximately 1.8, 1.9 bar for base coat. So what I'm putting on now is just the ground coat colour. There's no need, you're not looking for any effect out of it. So once I put the pearl coat on, you might want to get the pressure a little bit higher, but to save on paint, you can drop the pressure down a little bit when you're doing solid colours and stuff like that. So this is a 3-stage pearl blend. I'm putting the blending agent or the blending clear over the front edge of the door that I'm blending in. You can see that the front edge of the door has got all that pearl coat in it, whereas the back edge of the door, it's just a solid colour white at this point. So I've then run over, grabbed the gun that's got the pearl in it, and this is where, as I say, it's very handy having those extra couple of guns. There's no need to go outside and clean guns out while that coat's actually starting to go dry on you, so it allows me to go straight into that wet bed straight away. So just one nice wet coat of pearl I've found is actually enough these days. I always used to put 2 coats on, but there's actually one of the guys that I'm working with recently. I was just talking to him about one of these pearl colours, and he said, oh, you know what, you probably only need 1 coat of pearl on it. So I gave it a shot with 1 and found that it's enough most of the time. So being that these pearls are quite expensive, just putting that extra coat on, I guess it saves a couple of 100 mils of paint per job, so it's always something to be conscious of, keeping the material usage down. So this is one of my longer videos. I think it's actually my longest one at this point. It's up to about 14 minutes, but I'll try to keep it interesting, give you lots of info. Yet again, just tell me if you think it's too long, if you're interested, if it keeps you interested, leave comments, let me know what you think. Yeah, so I've also recently got my hands on a head mount and a chest mount for my GoPro, so I've got a few videos already up, and I'm videoing constantly, different videos, just changing it up a bit. This one's obviously just on the tripod. So now we go on with our clear coat and set the pressure on the GTI Pro to 2 bar. As you can see, it's keeping the gun nice and close and moving fairly quickly. I've found the key to success with the GTI Pro with the HVLP Air Cap is actually the distance that you have the gun to the panel. If you look at the gun and the spray fan by itself, it's a really massive fan, but you actually have to get the gun really close, and it actually closes that fan up and it gets the paint on really nicely. Yeah, and you do also save a little bit of paint using this gun too. So originally I had the pressure down too low when I was using this gun, and I also held the gun a little bit too far back, so that was really not achieving the correct orange peel. It was coming out really thick, really chunky, and I couldn't get the hang of it. I had a paint rep come in, he told me, this is what you're doing wrong. As soon as he told me that, bang, my performance with the gun absolutely skyrocketed, and I swear by him now. So just that's the main thing, just distances and pressures that you've got to think about. Like being HVLP, you're forgiven for thinking, oh, maybe I can get away with 1.5 bar or 1.2 bar of pressure, or which is 20 psi, 25 psi. but you've still got to get the gun up to 2 bar, 29 psi, get the gun nice and close, and you can see there's really not much overspray. There's not much paint that's not hitting the panel. It's really quite an efficient gun, and the amount of time the trigger's pulled is also very indicative of how much paint you're going to be using. So you might turn the pressure down, but then because the paint's coming out so much slower, you've got to hold the gun a lot slower to get that wet finish. They've actually used more paint while you've got lower pressure. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Yeah, it does to me. But you'd be forgiven for thinking the other way around, that dropping the pressure down would actually save paint, but it doesn't always work that way. So yeah, as I said, I've got a couple of the other major spray guns at the end. I've got plenty of other vids. Yeah. So this job's coming up to an end pretty soon. We've got some footage of it when it's out the front. It's all detailed and that out the front. Looks all nice. Colour looks good. And as far as the blend goes up here,
so as you can see, my clear coat comes just up to the edge of where I've scotch brighted here. I'll then grab my minigun with some blending thinners in it and spray that over the edge. You can take that right over the shiny paint, over the Scotch Brite. You can see it fills up the Scotch Brite scratches and it melts in that edge.
So I've then just given the car a 45-minute bake. I like to clean the guns out before I bake it. If you walk straight out of the booth when the paint's still wet, hit bake, you can find it'll actually run, because getting the heat straight onto it can make the paint run. So give it 5 minutes, 10 minutes when you're cleaning your guns out, come back, hit bake. 45 minutes at 60 degrees is fine. So then you can run the buff over this blend out, which you can see there. It came out quite nice. You'd never know that there's 2 separately painted areas there. And this is the vehicle when it's being washed up in the detailing bay. So as I said, we did front and rear bumper bars, quarter panel, and the door as well. And this is out the front in the sun. You can see the colour looks nice there. It blended out real nice over that rear door. There's no colour difference to the front door to the rear door. Front bar looks nice. Owner should be happy with their car. So thanks a lot for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.